What is going on, everybody? It's KB. Before the episode starts, make sure you go check out StreamerSZN's brand new theme music. That's right. We have full-time, brand new theme music thanks to the newest homie and newest member of the music side of Underground Sports Philadelphia homies. That is Mobley. Stay Volk. His new single is out now. It is linked in the description on YouTube, and you'll be hearing it on audio until we can figure out if we can play it on video on StreamerSZN episodes from here on out. That's our new theme music. Stay Volk. Go download it now wherever you get your music, and go check out the music video on YouTube. But now, let's get into the episode of StreamerSZN.
Philadelphia, baby, you're gonna love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
Oh boy, it's time for another galaxy far, far away. What is going on, fellow streamers? Welcome into another edition of StreamerSZN, the exclusive streaming platform TV and movie podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. It's KB and Dylan coming at you. Christian will be joining us for Poker Face and News and Notes. And maybe, just maybe, he'll be popping in just a little bit. I don't mean to sound like Cat Williams, but this is exactly, shout out to Stephen A. Smith. We're going to be breaking down The Mandalorian, Chapter 21, Episode 5 of Season 3, and we'll dive into Poker Face Episode 8, and then get into News and Notes. But before we get started, guys, make sure you're following us on the socials, Twitter, Instagram, at StreamerSZN. You can follow Dylan on Twitter, at Dylan Mazzola. You can follow me on Twitter, at KBIZZL311. And you can follow Christian on Twitter, at TheWiz_PHI. Subscribe to the podcast feed, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you decide to get your podcasts. And Dylan, what should they be doing in the Apple Podcast reviews?
Well, wherever they get their podcasts, like the Apple Podcast reviews or the YouTube comment section and so forth, you should be leaving us recommendations in the comments and reviews on what to watch next on any of the streaming services. It could be a show and or a movie. Kyle and I and Christian have access to all of them combined, and even if we didn't, we would find a way if you want us to watch something that bad. Kyle never was going to watch Game of Thrones, and he might end up watching it anyway, and he watched House of Dragons. So we'll we'll do anything. Like, let us know.
Anything. But yeah, subscribe, and leave your show and movie recommendations in the Apple Podcast reviews and in the YouTube comment section, youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. It's where you get full video episodes of StreamerSZN and every podcast on our network. You also get clips, live streams, interviews. I'm working on some stuff potentially for this show interview-wise, so stay tuned for that. And you also get shorts, all that good stuff. youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. We're at 422 subscribers as of this recording. Get us to 500 going into April. Let's start April off on a good note. 500 is the goal by the end of April, at least. So go subscribe, youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. And make sure you guys go get your merch. Get your merch from our amazing merch partners at PHI Apparel Company. They're the best in the game. They are the home to all of our merch across the network, and you get that exclusive StreamerSZN merch from PHI Apparel Company. And there's no doubt in our minds that when you're going to the movie theater, when you're hanging out at home, Netflix and chilling, you're going to stand out in your StreamerSZN merch. Go to phiapparel.co and use code UNDERGROUND for 10% off any and all merch orders. That's code UNDERGROUND for 10% off at phiapparel.co. Dylan, Chapter 21 of The Mandalorian, The Pirate, was this week's episode. Before we dive into everything, just wanted to get your general thoughts, as we always do, your thoughts on the episode now that we are in, effectively, the second half of the season now, and we're going to see a lot of plot progression, I think, moving forward.
Yeah, no, I fully agree with you. I think this might have been one of the more entertaining episodes so far this season as a whole. I don't think it was as short as the other one as well. So I would say I enjoyed it, and I think it kind of is foreshadowing some things that are going to happen with how it ended. So definitely you get the vibe of what you're saying. It's like the second half, the second act. I'm curious if they really go through with what they're suggesting, and we'll see where it goes, because I think the only biggest drawback of this season so far is there hasn't been much of like exploration. It's kind of more been like on a planet or two and like focalized around that, whereas I feel like in seasons past they're like doing exploring and you're seeing all these new planets or existing planets, whereas this one kind of is centering around the planet that Carl Weathers inhabits, which is not a bad thing. I'm sure there's more to come of that, but all in all, it was a good episode though.
100%. And before we get into everything, if you haven't watched Chapter 21, Season 3, Episode 5 of The Mandalorian, we have a special announcement for you.
Hello, Mandalores. This is your friendly Galaxy spoiler warning. If you have not watched this week's episode, please turn off this podcast, go to Disney Plus, and watch the episode. Then return from your galaxy far, far away and listen to these two Jedi talk about the Mandalores. Thank you.
You did great, bud.
It never gets old. It gets better and better every week.
I literally thought of that in the waiting room. I'm like, I'm going to do this just to get a laugh out of Kyle.
Wait, can you put it back on real quick? Because I have a great joke to send us out with. Help us, Obi-Wiz Kenobi. You're our only hope.
That was something.
It never gets old. It never gets old.
No,
Shout out to the Christian spoiler warning. But yes, if you haven't watched this episode, go give it a view, and then come back and chat with us about this episode. So here it is. The pirate. Arg.
Right, but I don't. I was like in my head, I was like, arg.
So on Navarro, High Magistrate Grief Karga, Carl Weathers' character, and two civic engineers were discussing designs of the city. Karga's protocol droid reported that a pirate corsair was violating the airspace of the population zone. Come to find out, it's the old pirate king of the pirate nation, Gorian Shard. Yar.
They talk like that in the Star Wars universe. Yarg, we're
Yar, I'm Gorian Shard.
We're here to take over your planet. Yarg.
I'm here for your space booty. Pirate puns. And he hailed Grief Karga a moment later. The two had a conversation. Gorian Shard then started an aerial bombardment.
That was more of a massacre, though.
Yeah, he just came in and was like straight shooter of the settlement, and Karga sent a message to Captain Carson Teva, who we have seen as a recurring character on The Mandalorian. If you guys don't remember who Carson Teva is, remember when Din was out there kind of speeding around in the outer rim, in outer space. Carson Teva let him go with a warning instead of arresting him and bringing him in. And he's requesting help from the New Republic, and the High Magistrate and the people of Navarro then evacuated to the lava flats. So then at the Adelphi New Republic outpost, Captain Teva sat at a bar, and the bartender said a message came for him.
Delphi outpost, brother!
We should make shirts that say that.
It might work.
Adelphi brothers. Said that a message came for him and handed him a data disk, and Captain Teva played the message, and Garazeb Aurelios sat down beside him. They discussed going to Coruscant to request permission to intercede, and everybody lost their minds on the tweet machine, Dylan, because we saw a live-action version of a character from Star Wars Rebels.
Yes, sir. It's important because it's a live-action alien character from Rebels, so they had to go and CGI him there as well. So it's a big deal.
And it's one of those things, too, that this is now like the second Rebels reference in this season of The Mandalorian. Because we had the Purgles in episode 1, those space whales that we saw. And now we get Zeb Rebels fans are finally winning, according to Kenobis on Twitter. Also, very funny meme that we will get to later. You're going to die laughing when I send it to you. So then Captain Teva goes to Coruscant in his office, and he's met by Colonel Tuttle, Dylan. I was not expecting.
That's an actor, right? Is that what you're going to say?
Yes.
Yeah, I heard his voice before I looked away. I forgot what I was doing. I didn't look at the screen, and I heard his voice, and I was like, there's no way I'm still watching Star Wars. Why is this?
Tim Meadows is in the Star Wars universe. I love
kind
it.
of himself. He's kind of a nonchalant character that seems to be, well, not seems to be, is easily getting manipulated by that lady who I forget her name. But yeah, he's there. He's for sure there.
It's very funny because just a week ago on episode 7 of Poker Face, I believe, it was either 6 or 7, Tim Meadows was in Poker Face.
He's doing his Thanos run of coming on TV shows.
So in his office, Colonel Tuttle and Captain Teva discuss Navarro and the Pirate Nation attack. Everything changed when the Pirate Nation attacked.
Arrgh!
Colonel Tuttle denied sending help to Navarro because they were not a member planet, and the New Republic captain stormed out of Colonel Tuttle's office. And then Captain Teva went to the Mandalorian covert to tell them that Din Djarin's friend Greef Karga was being attacked by pirates.
Not very secretive covert when a random space cop can be like, I found you.
The fact that he found him, and we come to find out that R5 was the rat.
You can't trust. And now Din's gonna spiral back to season 1 and be like, I hate robots.
I hate them. I hate droids. Can't trust them. I think the most interesting part of this episode, though, obviously we get more creepy former Imperial Moff Gideon lieutenant, and it's clear that she's up to no good.
Yeah, her intentions are not noble.
Yeah, and Carson Teva kind of knows that because they do that camera pan to her, reform pin, which I was like, he knows. But then we get, a bunch of discussion in their covert about going to Navarro and helping out, and Mando's, giving his big daddy speech, saying, what about the children? What about Grogu? And then the armorer asks if anybody else wants to speak, and Paz Vizsla steps up, which I was like, okay, of course he's going to step up, and he's probably going to try to be the polar opposite here. Lists off everything. Sounds like he's going to go complete rogue and complete opposite of what Din just said. And he's like, but they saved my son.
My boy.
It's my boy. And declares that this is the way. And everybody is going to Navarro, and then they go, full-blown, Call of Duty mode and start planning their operation. And
hero.
And Dylan, they were not playing around. They were drinking in that school again.
Dude, I don't respect my school.
They were drinking in that school. But the Mandalorian covert goes and absolutely blindsides everybody. The armorer, this is hardcore action from her, which was very fun. With her hammer, she just absolutely annihilates all of those pirates, which was badass as hell.
They got fucked.
That one lizard pirate must be the most deaf space pirate ever. Because how do you not hear all of your homeboys getting absolutely thwacked with that hammer, and you're just chilling still blasting away, and boom, he fucking launches her like a Mike Trout home run.
He was lost in the sauce, bro. Mike Trout home run. He was he was having too much fun shooting the machine gun. He was like, yeah.
She hit him over the head with the hammer and was like, and there's a deep drive to left by the armorer. It's going to make it a 4-0 ball game.
Nick Castellanos deep drive to center field.
And then they save Navarro and everything. Greef Karga says, this land out here is now home to the Mandalorians. You don't have a home planet, but now you have a home. And then Paz Vizsla tells Bo-Katan that the armorer requests to speak to you. And then they do more kind of secretive super spy stuff and keep talking about the forges and all this kind of this, that, and the third. And Bo-Katan is now going to be the power broker and the middle woman between the different sects of Mandalorian. The ones that are, hardcore extremists, like the Children of the Watch, and then the ones that, take their helmets off. And the armor allows Bo-Katan to take her helmet off and says that you can live both ways. You can do everything the way that you want to do it. It doesn't matter if you take your helmet off, because you're going to help unite everybody. And it's just like, that's exactly what Din was doing for somebody that he absolutely cared about, and you banished him to the Shadow Realm.
Yeah, you ostracized him. He wasn't allowed to do anything. I don't know how they're gonna. This is why, as was fine earlier. I don't know if they're gonna have them battle each other for supremacy. Because I think Din hasn't caught the leadership bug yet. We got his first glimpse this season of him trying to give a big boy speech, but he really hasn't shown that he's power hungry. He really just wants the best interest for the kid. So I'm curious when it's gonna change,
Yeah. It is one of those things too that I feel like if they were gonna have to battle for the Darksaber, Din's just gonna fold, because he doesn't give a shit about it.
Yes, but does he want to lose his space sword, I don't know.
Because it's every time he tries to lift that thing up, he's like, oh, this thing's heavy.
I can't do it!
I can't do it! This might go down as the meme of the week for Mando, even though we haven't done it for the first 4 weeks, but I saw this and I absolutely cackled. Dylan, your thoughts on this meme here?
I love it.
If you're listening just on audio, it is the Shaquille O'Neal sleeping and then Shaquille O'Neal laser beam eyes meme, but the armor is photoshopped over. It says, Bo-Katan removing her helmet because I told her so. I sleep. Din Djarin showing his face to say goodbye forever to his adopted kid. Real shit. And laser beam eyes armor is alive and well.
Jesus, man.
I saw that and I absolutely cackled.
It's true, brother.
Overall, I think this episode was the catalyst to get the ball rolling for where I think this season is going to take us. It is very sus how Bo-Katan and the Armorer have clicked so quickly, and they keep plotting and scheming in secret, and I feel like that's going to lead to potentially the Armorer being not so much of a good person. Kind of have a sneaking suspicion she's going to be like a villain, and she's using Bo-Katan as her way to get the Darksaber for herself. Your thoughts?
Okay, I kind of like this theory. Okay. I just think that she genuinely might see her as like the heir to, rule or unite Mandalore. With that being said, I do like your theory a lot now. I do think, though, there's going to be a disconnect between her and Din because he believes in like the whole old-fashioned way, or maybe he'll be jealous because she gets to take her helmet off and he wants to look at his adopted son. So I think there's going to be a friendship or a power struggle between those two, but I do like the whole dynamic of within the Armorer itself. I could see that theory potentially coming to something.
It feels like she's using Bo-Katan's like newfound trust in her as to make her like a puppet for her and like do her dark dealings. Because like we gotta admit, as Mandalorian fans, the Armorer has always kind of been this like weird secretive character, and you don't really know too much about her. She's very like radicalized and very, conservative in the sense that, like, she's not taking her helmet off. If you take it off, you're an apostate, you're banished. Until now. Like, what switch was flipped to be like, oh yeah, Bo-Katan's going to be like our peace broker to bring in all the Mandalorian now that we have I think part of it now is, the Mandalorian covert here have a quote unquote home. So now they have like a home base, and now they don't have to like hide anywhere.
That's true. I'm curious to see where it goes. I just don't know if she's going to be like one of those characters to try and make us think she's evil, but she's really not. Or, you know what I mean? Or does she have good motives? Or is she just facilitating who she thinks is the rightful like leader or heir to help return their people to prosperous? I like to think it's the latter, because she realizes how disconnected they are as a group, and they need to all be one. But who knows, man? I don't know.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting from here on out, because we have 3 episodes left after this, Dylan. And this episode was directed by Peter Ramsey, who I believe this is his first dive into the Mandoverse. But he's got like the list of accolades of all accolades. These are the projects. We talked about this, I believe, on episode 1 or 2. These are his accolades for being just a storyboard artist. 1989's A Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child. Predator 2, Tank Girl. 1995's Mortal Kombat. Eye for an Eye. Independence Day, 1996. Men in Black. Godzilla in 1998. Being John Malkovich. Fight Club. How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Castaway in 2000. AI, Artificial Intelligence. The Affair of the Necklace. Panic Room. Minority Report. Adaptation. The Core, Spartan, Shark Tale, Shrek the Third, Shrek the Halls, Penguins of Madagascar, Sausage Party, Duck Duck Goose, and A Wrinkle in Time. And he was also the first African American to direct a major American animated film, and co-directing Sony Pictures. That was for Rise of the Guardians in 2012. And he also co-directed Sony Picture Animation's Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Into the Spider-Verse. That's pretty cool, though. Seriously.
So his first dive into The Mandalorian was this episode. I think he did a phenomenal job. But the crazy part about the final 3 episodes that we have for this season, next week is the Bryce Dallas Howard episode, which everybody knows when they let Bryce Dallas Howard cook. She gonna cook. And since the introduction of Bo-Katan, that has typically been the episodes that Bryce Dallas Howard conducts and puts her magic hands on. So I think next week's going to be a big Bo-Katan episode. And allegedly, it's being rumored that episode's going to be around 45 minutes of actual runtime, so that's exciting. And then episode 7 and episode 8 are both Rick Famuyiwa, who also did episode 1. And episode 7, Dylan, is written by Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni.
Our boys cooking together.
Something tells me there's going to be... Do you think we'll get like some sort of plot progression that will then take us on a fork in the road for Ahsoka later on, hopefully this year?
Kyle, I think we're going to get something, but I don't know what we're going to get. And I mean, obviously, we're going to get something, but my point is, like,
it's like a McDonald's Happy Meal, no free ads. Collect them all.
I just think we're going to get a power struggle. It's gonna be like a race to home plate kind of thing. Like, I just don't know who's necessary. Because we also have the Moff Gideon aspect. We
didn't even talk about that. It was almost like a post-credit scene, almost, the way that it like went to it, where we get Carson Teva going and exploring this. Like, it was very creepy too, like very like, the Abyss almost. If you've seen that movie, that's what I felt like I was watching.
The Cthulhu.
The Abyss is, I think, homeboy that did Avatar, James Cameron.
Is that the one
into the ocean and everything?
Oh, Christian Stewart.
I think so.
Okay, yeah.
But they're like exploring this whole area and everything, and there's dead New Republic pilots, and Then they zoom in closer, and there is Beskar alloy on the ship, and it seems like the Mandalorian are going to be framed for capturing Moff Gideon.
Which doesn't make sense. Or also, could it be rogue Mandalorians like Death Watch incarnate?
That would be fun. I didn't even think of that, but I like that.
That was my first thought after the initial like framing. And then basically it's like, why would you frame Mandalorians? You know, I mean, we get why. It's gonna be interesting, you know. Like I just don't know.
Something tells me that this has like Thrawn written on it.
I just don't know, Kyle.
Because I think Thrawn views, from everything I've like picked apart from Rebels without having actually watched it, Thrawn views like the Mandalorian as a threat. Yes. So he's going to do whatever he can to like make it so that they disappear and they're gone. And obviously in season 2 we got the where's Grand Admiral Thrawn from Ahsoka when she was in her little duel. I think Thrawn could get an appearance or at least another name drop in this season. I don't know when. If I had to guess, it would be the episode that's written by Dave Filoni, because
that would make most sense. It's his character, yeah.
But I feel like Thrawn is like behind a lot of this, and like Thrawn and Moff Gideon were probably working together, so that has something to do with it. And it's gonna be a wild ride, these final 3 episodes, and I think we're in for like 3 straight. Not that this episode wasn't a banger, because I think this episode was an absolute banger across the board. But I think the next 3 episodes are going to be like jaw on the ground, like holy shit, like internet ablaze talking about the Mandalorian.
And I hope that's the case, because the season has been up and down so far for me, and I'm looking for that kind of, you know, reaction from myself and the fan base, and I hope we get it. It's going to be kind of crazy seeing the dash for power of Moff Gideon / Thrawn / Bo-Katan / Armor ? Kyle theory / Din finally. Maybe he finally grows a pair. I'm not being mean. I'm just saying he doesn't really care. You know what I mean? So
I'm going to go super rogue here. So I'm going to preface that. I'm going very rogue here. It's not going to happen, but it would be a wild thing to be a wild character reveal.
Darth Maul.
Well, I would love that. What if the armorer is Thrawn?
That would be cool, but the armorer is, in fact, as we know, voiced by like the
Emily
voice
Swallow.
Yeah, so I don't think they would.
But how sick would that be? Or what if one of the Mandalorian within their covert is Thrawn, just like international super spy?
That'd be pretty sick, but I doubt they do that. But I do like the rogue theory.
Also, I don't know if you picked up on this too. I saw the New Rockstars gang picked up on this last week. The past 2 seasons, whenever we've seen Paz Vizsla, Jon Favreau's usually credited as the voice as well, because he has been the voice of Paz Vizsla in the past. This whole season, though, it has simply been Tate Fletcher, who is the actor inside the suit. So they had this theory, Dylan, that Paz Vizsla is going to end up taking his helmet off.
I like the theory.
Because if you're only crediting the actor who's in the suit and not the voice, it's probably going to be the fact that Paz Vizsla is going to reveal a face, and it's going to be Tate Fletcher's face.
Because Bo-Katan's like, oh my god, Bo took off her helmet, I'm taking off mine.
Exactly. I'm excited to see where we go, and obviously next week is Bryce Dallas Howard week, so buckle up, everybody. But Dylan, what are you going to give for your score for Chapter 21, Season 3, Episode 5, The Pirate of the Mandalorian?
8.3.
I like it. Picasso. I'm going to give it an 8.7. I really enjoyed it. I also like that pirate character a lot. He's just a very cool, like, unique type of character. And I also like how the one pirate, like, absolutely just abandoned him and was like, nah, bruh, I'm out. He pulled a full-on Shark Tank. Like, he was getting pitched an idea to go and bombard Navarro, and he was like, you've done too much, and for that reason, I'm out. And he just dipped.
No deal.
So that gives our collective score as an 8.5 out of 10. I think the season of The Mandalorian's been really, really good, and I think it's one of those things that, like, it's been building up to what these final 3 episodes will be. And today was like that steady incline for next week to be like a peaking point with a Bo-Katan heavy episode to then go full-blown, full speed until we get to the finish line.
Full tilt.
Full tilt. But stick around. Christian and I are going to break down episode 8 of Poker Face, and then we will all be back from our little breakout rooms for the Streaming Platform Multiverse news and notes. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. We are back with Poker Face, everybody. It's KB and Christian coming at you for our Poker Face episode 8 breakdown. It is brought to you by our amazing friends over at Tomahawk Shades, the best small batch eyewear in the game. Sunglasses, blue light glasses, everything in between. You guys should be rocking blue light glasses anytime you're watching your favorite shows and movies to protect your eyeballs from those violent blue lights coming from your screens. And when you're outside, protect your eyeballs from the sun with Tomahawk Shades. Small batch eyewear, the best in the game. It's a fraction of the price of those big competitors, and it's the same, if not better quality. So you guys can go to tomahawkshades.com, use promo code USP, and you get 25% off your order at tomahawkshades.com. They also have prescription lenses available. They've also got some kick-ass merch, so go to tomahawkshades.com, get 25% off at checkout when you use promo code USP. Christian, Poker Face episode 8 was easily the most trippy and out of left field episode that I could have never predicted. The Orpheus syndrome. Wild cast for this one. Nick Nolte, Cherry Jones, Luis Guzman, everybody's favorite. I think Luis Guzman is one of the most universally loved actors of the last 7-8 years.
Yeah, sounds about right.
I was very surprised to see Rowan Blanchard. For anybody who doesn't know me, one of my favorite shows of all time is Boy Meets World, to which got the Disney Channel sequel treatment of Girl Meets World. So that was very cool. Tim Russ, Sean Ono Lennon, and Charlotte Kemp Mull in this episode. Christian, do you want to hit the people with the patented, trademarked, and copywritten spoiler warning?
This is me doing my Nick Nolte impression. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a spoiler warning. Go back and watch the Orpheus syndrome before we have this conversation. Okay. Kyle, let's get on with it.
Let's get on with it. The Orpheus syndrome. So we start off in a house in New York State. Film industry veterans Max, played by Tim Russ, and Laura, Cherry Jones, argue over an unknown subject, culminating with Max jumping off the balcony to his death. And I have to say, Christian, obviously Rian Johnson in charge of Poker Face, running the show here. This opening scene felt the most like Knives Out aesthetic.
Yeah, he didn't write or direct this episode,
which is crazy. But like that opening scene, I was like, oh, this feels very Knives Out-y.
Which is something I'll delve into deeper in the funny ass reading you can have with this episode.
So a week later, Lara visits their mutual friend Arthur Lipton, played by Nick Nolte, a reclusive visual effects artist and co-founder of their company Lights and Motion, shortened version LAM. She claims the dispute with Max was about their impending divorce, and feeling guilty, asks Arthur to recreate Max's likeness for therapeutic reasons. 2 weeks later, Lara receives an uncanny, realistic bust of Max and uses it to unlock his laptop. It is revealed in a flashback that Max confronted her with some evidence he found, which could incriminate her in a 40-year-old incident. She tried to kill him with poison tea, and Max, knowing he would die anyway, jumped headfirst down the rocks below their house, smashing his face so that she cannot use it to access his laptop. In the present, she manages to delete the evidence, a digital copy of behind-the-scenes footage of the unfinished 1980s film Dragonfish. Then she calls the archives department of Lamb, now going after the original film reel. 3 weeks prior, we catch back up with Natasha Lyonne, Charlie, working at a barber shop, her new dirty jobs that aren't too dirty, and is tasked with taking a bag of hair to a farmhouse. The farmhouse is actually the workshop of Arthur, who had just returned from burying Max, and Charlie partakes in his grief-driven drinking, and they bond.
The funniest part about working in the barbershop is how she develops an eye twitch from all the bullshit being spoken. Because if you've ever been in a barbershop or been in like a men's hair place, that was immense. And it's a fun take that's used to great effect throughout the episode.
Yeah, it was. That's a small, minor detail, but it's very, very funny. Especially, like you said, like if you've ever been in a barbershop, like you'll understand that 100% thoroughly. So fascinated by his work, she convinces the old man to hire her as his assistant. A week later, she witnesses Laura ask Arthur for Max's bust and can tell that she is lying. As they work on the sculpture, Arthur tells Charlie of their history together. Arthur was filming what was to be his directorial debut in 1989, the monster movie Dragonfish, and the young lead actress Lily Albert, played by Rowan Blanchard, had difficulties finishing a scene in a water tank. She was pressured to continue by a frustrated Arthur, with Max and Laura present. She eventually drowned, leading Arthur to quit the film industry out of guilt, and Charlie notes that this personal project, the experimental stop-motion feature he calls the Orpheus Syndrome, is rife with allegories of the incident, deducing he is still trying to cope, and tells him to revisit the past to get past it. 2 weeks pass, and Charlie delivers the finished head to Laura, and following her advice, Arthur contacts Lamb film archivist Raul, a.k.a. Luis Guzman, to retrieve for him the tapes of the incident. He discovers that Laura was responsible for Lily's death by disabling the light that would have alerted to her drowning. He then confronts Laura, who had just called Raul herself to get the footage, only to learn that Arthur has it. He claims that he will protect her and destroys the reel before leaving. However, Laura discovers that the reel is missing some parts, while Arthur collapses back home after having been preemptively poisoned by Laura. Charlie, who arrives to see an unconscious Arthur on the driveway, calls for help and leaves to avoid detection, but notices some decorative gravel from Laura's driveway embedded in Arthur's tires. Arthur is pronounced dead. The next day, Charlie goes to see Laura to inquire about Arthur's visit and detects that Laura lies when she denies her involvement in his and Max's deaths. She returns to the workshop where she stumbles upon Raul, and together they infer what was actually happening just before Laura barges in with Lamb workers to seize all of Arthur's possessions. She intends to use them for an exhibit dedicated to Arthur's memory at Lamb's headquarters while recovering any loose film to destroy later. Charlie notices that she missed the incriminating tapes hidden in one of Arthur's sculptures, and she infiltrates Lamb's memorial but is caught by Laura, who has her removed from the building and then fires Raul for mishandling the archives.
Caught, might I add, dressed like a horse chess piece, dressed like a knight chess piece.
And if anybody knows chess, they only move in an L, so take this L.
Cherry Jones saying, if she sets one more hoof on the premise, I'm like,
However, Raul's keycard has not been deactivated yet, so he helps Charlie infiltrate Lamb once again. They retrieve the footage and play it in front of the attendees. Laura, her mind derailed by guilt over her crimes, begins to hallucinate Arthur in the crowd and the Orpheus Syndrome exhibit coming to life. She eventually runs after a vision of Max and follows it in jumping off a balcony. Charlie and Raoul fail to catch up with her and are horrified as they find her body laying on the ground, her face with an expression of peace on it.
Okay, so is now the time to share the fan favorite theory, Kyle?
Go for it.
So, lights in motion. You know what that's a clear stand-in for, right?
At this current juncture with my current brain capacity, no.
Industrial Light and Magic, the people involved with Star Wars
Okay.
and all the Hollywood special effects stuff. Max, which is the guy who jumps off at the start of the episode, if I remember correctly, right?
Yes.
Is George Lucas, and Cherry Jones is Kathleen Kennedy. And right here, and Nick Nolte's character, and Kyle, this is why I showed you the Mad God trailer, is Phil Tippett. And even though Ryan Johnson doesn't have a writing credit, this feels like him giving a big F you and burning down the entire bridge to Kathleen Kennedy and everyone at Lucasfilms for not letting him make his trilogy. We found the social media clip, folks.
You know, it's funny you bring that up because I was on my nightly deep dive into YouTube Shorts last night.
Uh-huh.
And I had a YouTube short that from a channel, I don't even remember who it was, so I apologize. That normally doesn't show up in my Shorts feed, but it just so happened to be there. Talking about how Jon Favreau almost walked away from Lucasfilm and The Mandalorian after Kathleen Kennedy meddled with Season 2 so much.
And right, here's the thing, Kyle. I showed you the trailer for Mad God before this. Tell me the Orpheus Syndrome is not just straight ripping Mad God.
Yeah, it had a lot of those vibes. It had a lot of Robot Chickeny vibes. It had a lot of for the old heads like myself who remember the 90s hit Nickelodeon show Kablam. There's a lot of that in there in my brain. And there was a lot of like the Are You Afraid of the Dark type of like energy coming from that too. Like a whole lot of just like childhood horrors were unlocked with that final sequence.
Yeah, and the thing with all this is Kathleen Kennedy spent so much of her career around the boy geniuses of Spielberg and George Lucas and everything because she was and I believe still is married to Frank Marshall, who Frank Marshall is very close with Spielberg. And there's a specific quote in this episode where she's talking about all you boys go off and make your pictures and I'm here keeping everything together. And it felt like a very Kathleen Kennedy-esque type quote. And how, it's a very interesting reading of all this, and it's kind of clear when you think about it, even though Ryan had no involvement in the actual writing / directing of this episode, because if I remember correctly, this episode is directed and written by Natasha Lyonne.
Yep, and written also by Alice Jew.
Yeah. So, there's something to be said about this being a whole
I agree with your theory here, and in a sense, like, to play devil's advocate too, it's his way of like flipping the double bird to, I think, more in particular Kathleen Kennedy than Lucasfilm as a whole. But it was also like, I'm not going to write this episode so that if the opportunity comes back up post potentially Kathleen Kennedy, I can still be good with Lucasfilm and go do my Star Wars movie.
The like that whole part makes sense. The whole Phil Tippett of it all is the thing where I'm like, how does this connect? Because yes, Phil Tippett was involved in Jurassic Park and he did some old Star Wars films and stuff, but like, I don't quite understand how he fits into this episode in a thematic way, because yes, this is a guy who did a bunch of the stop motions and special effects work on the original Star Wars trilogy. But outside of that, like, I don't quite understand how he ties in, and I guess it's like the whole directorial debut Mad God thing is technically the kind of tie-in for all of it, but he kind of weirdly feels jammed in terms of if we go with that theory, which is it's a clear Phil Tippett thing, but.
Yeah, I think it is kind of like the cherry on top to the Star Wars parallel, though.
Yeah, like this entire episode served as a allegory more than a mystery, which I find a very amusing swing on things.
Do you wanna laugh a little bit more? Because I just looked at Phil Tippett's credits and everything.
Yeah.
So Phil Tippett is credited in Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
Oh dear.
Obviously, we saw our big knight chess piece in this episode.
Yeah, I see it.
He's credited for the Millennium Falcon chess scene as the supervisor.
Yeah. So I'm gonna quickly run down Phil Tippett's filmography things. He had worked for the original Star Wars trilogy, the second Indiana Jones film, RoboCop, Willow, Jurassic Park, in which he was directly responsible for the dinosaurs, Starship Troopers, the Twilight films, Jurassic World, Star Wars: The Force Awakens. It's like he's had his hand in some of the most significant special effects that helped shape where we landed today.
Yeah, the math is mathing, if you will.
Ditching this theory, which is more than theory, if we're being honest here. I loved how this like House of Horrors end section kind of played out, because it's a nice twist how all the grief is coming up to her deep grief is coming up to attack her, between the realistic Max head, which is fading in and out from being the Max actor, thinking she's seeing Nick Nolte in the crowd, and the grief is piling on her, and how before she jumps, and then we hear Max once again say the line about her following him, and she follows him to her death.
Oh, I thought you were going to say saying the line was leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts with your show and movie recommendation.
That too.
That would have been so on brand.
Yeah.
But as we do every week, Christian, we find ourselves reading the critical reception here from the one and only AV Club, Solani Gajar, where the Orpheus Syndrome received near critical acclaim, where Kajar gave the episode an A- grade and wrote, "If you strip down the flashy layers of Poker Face's 8th episode, the central mystery is relatively mundane. A woman kills the two men who threaten to reveal a secret from their shared past because it would ruin the career she spent 40 years building. The case is not a standout in, quote, my brother going vegan will bankrupt us, I used to be a domestic terrorist, or I want to reclaim my band's glory days way. But this is Poker Face, so why would we strip anything away? The spectacular set design, props, and performances elevate a hackneyed mystery into one of the show's creepiest outings yet. As an added bonus, series star Natasha Lyonne expertly directs the hour."
Yep.
Pretty well said. I think once we're finished this, we need to get Solani on the show because we read her breakdowns after every single breakdown of our own. But Christian, for episode 8, the Orpheus Syndrome, what is your score?
So, this is hard for me because it's hard to grade how great a Poker Face episode is when you watch so many other great shows. But I'm gonna give it a 9. Like this is a really good episode that does something a little different and actually has something that's positing in real life that I find very fun and amusing.
Yeah, I think the underlying meaning that you tapped into with this one, with Ryan Johnson's connection to Lucasfilm and everything, just adds more to it for the nerd culture. I'm going to give this episode an 8.7. I thought it was really well done. It triggers a lot of, childhood nightmare fuel in that final sequence. And I think Natasha Lyonne knocked it out of the park as a director, also starring in this episode, which if you do the quick math, that's 17.7. Divide that by 2. It's 8.85. Rounds up to an 8.9, which might be the highest grade of the season so far. I'll have to run the tapes on everything, but Poker Face episode 8 in the books. Next week, we just didn't get a chance to do it the past couple weeks, just scheduling and everything, but next week we're going to bang out the final 2 episodes of Poker Face and put this bad boy on ice and finally give our full-blown show score for Poker Face as well, and then that will kickstart everything for our announcement last week of Ted Lasso being on the docket. So next week, Poker Face episodes 9 and 10, and we will be right back with a triple box to break down everything in the streaming platform Multiverse news and notes. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. And now it's time for everybody's favorite segment. Is the streaming platform Multiverse news and notes, brought to you by our amazing beer partners over at Kenwood Beer. As we're recording this, breaking the fourth wall, we're recording this on Wednesday.
Beer.
I caught up with the Kenny boys, and they are going to be part of our live tailgate podcast event, Ring It. There will be, the Kennys will be flowing on April 8th at the Jetro lot. You guys can go to kenwoodbeer.com, use the all-new and improved Kenny tracker to see who's got Kenwood beer on tap in the Philadelphia area. You can get it at your local liquor stores in Philadelphia. I also went and picked up some Kennys at a local Philadelphia liquor store. And you can also get it at your Eastern Pennsylvania Whole Foods. Who doesn't like going to Whole Foods and picking up some Kennys? KenwoodBeer.com. You got to be 21 or older to do so. And, of course, please drink responsibly. Christian, I will let you start things off because your magnum opus show is crushing once again. Succession with a flawless premiere.
What's the time to be alive? Succession is back in cooking and just giving some of the A+ dialogue that you have ever heard. Pull up my pull up my again and the quote this from this
Now Christian's going
week's
robot.
episode. Beep boop bop ba da bop bop. Better.
No, you sound normal now.
There we
Okay.
go. You were like freezing.
Yeah, it's because my computer is not enjoying cooperating with me. But it's just cooking. Kieran Culkin is the ultimate shitlord heel, being so hilarious. Tom and Greg are the disgusting brothers, as one of them tries to call the duo. Kyle making a face there. It's a show that's a satire of the uber rich, but also such a great drama, and it was so great. It made me so happy to have it back, and I can't wait.
This made me very happy. I think it will make you somewhat happy, Christian, because I think you're also like me, Muppets guy. The Muppets Mayhem coming to Disney Plus later this year. We got our first look at the show. It is centered around Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem, which has me very excited. They're some of my favorite Muppets characters. So excited to see that series pop off later this year. Pulling up here, we love talking about who's hosting SNL on this show, and on April 15th, it will be one of Dylan's favorites, Ana de Armas, hosting SNL on April 15th with musical guest Carol G. Dylan, your thoughts?
Well, initially I thought Michael Fassbender. I'll be honest. Anna, no disrespect, you're a close second. Who I want to watch host, but
We'll either get Fassbender at one of two times, either right before we get Next Goal Wins, or either right before the Killer. But we're gonna get Fassbender showing up on a late night talk show.
and I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see. I like seeing like the people that you wouldn't expect to host SNL hosts, just to see how they perform.
That's true. To see cadences and if they can do a more like comedic routine.
Yeah, and like on the fly type stuff. This comes from Variety. Pedro Almodovar's Strange Way of Life, starring Big Daddy Pedro and Dylan, one of our Big Daddies, Ethan Hawke. It will not open at Cannes Film Festival in May, but it's still set to be screened.
Cannes Film Festival. You butchered that pronunciation.
There's two N's.
Cannes. It's French, brother.
Well, they can wee all the way home. But it's still expected to be screened at the festival. This one makes me want to punch my computer screen right now. We're getting a live-action hybrid remake of the Aristocats in the works at Disney, with Questlove set to direct it. Why?
Okay, time out. I want to quickly talk about this one, because as much as I hate all these live-action remakes, I'm at least somewhat compelled by this one.
Why?
Because of how outlandish it is? Is that why? Is that what
I'm at least somewhat compelled because a lot of this movie is centered around music and Questlove is directing. So I'm like...
I'll give you that. But
yeah,
still, why do we need it?
Yes. That's how I feel with like 99.9999% of these Disney remakes.
Also, the fact that it's a live-action hybrid and it's cats, it just scares me.
Like,
was the hybrid?
Sure.
Are animated as well?
Yeah.
It probably means the cats are going to be CGI, and I'm going to want to shoot myself by looking at CGI cats, but that's neither here nor there. Circling back to the Pedro Almodovar film. Do you know who he is?
Nope.
So he's this highly acclaimed Spanish filmmaker who's known for making these kind of dramas, but also some really strange films. So he So he's done stuff like Parallel Mothers and Pain and Glory recently. If you want to find a really strange and fucked up film that is like fascinating as hell, go find The Skin I Live In, which stars Antonio Banderas. But this film, Strange Way of Life, if I remember correctly, I believe, this film is his response to Brokeback Mountain. So take that for what you will. But
Not sure if that movie needed a response.
Yes, but I'm saying you're putting Ethan Hawke and Pedro Pascal in response to Brokeback Mountain. Interesting. Anyway.
Something that I'm very excited about is that looking to begin filming this summer is Adam Sandler's next film with the Safdie brothers. He confirms the film is set in the quote-unquote sports memorabilia world.
We've got to do a Uncut Gems pod.
Uncut Gems.
We got to do an Uncut Gems pod. Right?
We have to do that and the whatchamacallit movie with all the Sixers in it. I'm blanking.
The basketball one?
Yeah.
Hustle.
Yes.
Hustle.
I was gonna say try hard. I don't know. It's fucking cool.
Liv Tyler is returning as Betty Ross for Captain America: New World Order. Let's go. Sign me up. This one perplexes me simply because we don't even have like season 1 yet. But the writer's room has begun for Percy Jackson season 2, but it hasn't been greenlit yet. We haven't even seen the first season.
What?
Apologies if I butcher this name. Artie Froshan.
I couldn't tell you.
He's been cast in Daredevil Born Again. He apparently don't start in 2 episodes of House of the Dragon, but I don't remember him.
No.
He was
Maybe
Sir Carl Corey. I don't remember that character at all.
it's a pretty basic name, so I don't really remember that.
He was only in 2 episodes, but he has been cast in our magnum opus, Daredevil Born Again, which does have confirmation that portions of that series will be set during the blip, because a set photo came out and there are posters where Charlie Cox is walking down the street and the date on the poster says March 15th, 2020. So doubly eerie because of the actual date there in real life, but parts of everything are going to take place during the blip, which is exciting. Because I think that's the first time, like, truly we'll get a look, you know, outside of the portion in Endgame that we got a look inside the blip. That's exciting. Secret Invasion will reportedly premiere on June 21st on Disney+. Let's go. I love the time slot for it. It's a perfect summertime, you know, let's get back into Marvel mode. And it made the most sense. Dylan, I think we talked about this last year when Marvel was just pumping out a bunch of stuff and Star Wars was kind of dormant last year. And we were like, 2023 is going to be a Star Wars year more than it's going to be a Marvel year. And that's simply what it's turned out to be. So it makes sense that they've finally gotten a grasp of, like, let's not release a Marvel and Star Wars show during the same time block like they did last year, and kind of give the projects time to breathe.
Especially when you're the same company, right? You're trying to, like, help yourself out, like you're rivaling yourself. You know, like what are you doing here?
Plus, this show is such a massive cast that, like, you want all the big guns behind it in terms of marketing and getting it out there to the people. So, love that it's going to be a summertime release. And I think Owen Wilson said in an interview that Loki Season 2 is supposed to come out, like, late summer, early fall of this year. So that makes total sense. So that'll be the 2 confirmed Marvel projects for this year. this is adding, into our. We always talk about who's going to be hosting SNL, but appearing on Hot Ones this Thursday, our queen Florence Pugh.
I will be watching that episode.
That's going to be incredible.
I'll go with that.
For the people who watch White Lotus, I haven't watched a single second of it, but I've heard good and bad. Mostly that season 2 is better than season 1, but the White Lotus season 3 will be set in Thailand. Andy Serkis says Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is going to blow people's minds. Quote, from what I've heard and what I've seen, there's some amazing conceptual artwork. This article from Cinema Blend is partnered with one of the apes riding a horse, waiting for some sort of falcon, hawk, eagle-looking bird to land on the ape's arm.
Yeah, that's all I gotta say. I don't know.
We got the new trailer for Pixar's Elemental that will be in theaters on June 16th. That's one of the Pixar projects that I'm actually very excited about.
There's only one animated film I care about this year. Well, no, two. There's two. There's Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and then there is the new Miyazaki film, which he came out of retirement to make, which is coming out. We don't know when. That's coming out this year.
Matt Damon confirms that Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer is 3 hours long.
Yes, the year of 3-hour movies, baby.
Scrolling here.
Scrolling.
Keep scrolling. What?
Ari Aster's next film will likely be a Western with Joaquin Phoenix, potentially in talks to star. That comes from the New York Times.
Which
get Pedro Pascal. All he plays is cowboys in every movie. Narcos, drug cartel cowboy.
The Mandalorian.
Space cowboy. Last of Us, apocalyptic cowboy. I rest my Game of Thrones, flamboyant Middle Eastern cowboy.
Ryan Coogler is developing a new X-Files series with a diverse cast, according to BloodyDisgusting.com.
Well,
meh.
I feel like the X-Files is one of those things that just continues to get recycled.
Like it's more known for its theme music at this point than the actual show, I feel.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
100% agree.
I would like ideas, please. Thank you.
Yeah. This isn't going to add to what you want, Dylan. Thankfully, they're not going to pursue it. This comes from Variety. Matt Damon says Ben Affleck was pitched a sequel to Good Will Hunting recently, but Ben Affleck said it's not a sequel we're going to pursue. Thank Jesus.
Ben Affleck said, "Fuck off." Though I can't do a Boston accent, but we need like a Pat Pitts sound effect, like "fuck off."
Oh, fuck off. According to Deadline, Matthew McFadden has been cast in Deadpool 3.
Succession fam unite.
This one, get ready to get your Kennys and pour one out. According to the Hollywood Reporter, Curb Your Enthusiasm will likely end with season 12. Pour one out.
It's been running forever.
I had a long run.
Larry David can't live forever.
What do you mean?
Hey, if you're a show and you get the double digits, you're doing something right. So
yeah, he's not trying to beat out Grey's Anatomy here.
Yeah, he probably had to end it because he did that Crypto.com commercial during the Super Bowl a couple years ago. We all know how that turned out.
Aged wonderfully. No, what are you talking about?
That in and of itself was an episode of Curb. According to Deadline, Season 3 of House of the Dragon has been mapped out and a green light is reportedly near. The series creative team is wavering between ending the show in a third or fourth season. That's kind of what the long-running discussion was, that it was going to be a 3 to 4 season show to begin with. But at least we know that we're getting at least 3 seasons. And
I'll
season 2 will likely premiere in the summer of 2024.
We get the next 2 seasons without any incestual relations, please.
That'd be great. That would be
I've
great.
seen it both times. I don't need to see cousins or brothers or relatives doing the dirty. Let's go beyond that. We've evolved.
And then Dylan, also
Matt
more
Smith.
House of the Dragon. Season 2 will be 8 episodes long, 2 episodes fewer than season 1. It is reportedly a story-driven decision rather than a cost-cutting one.
As long as there's a lot of action and they budget it well and direct it well, I'm okay. Just don't Games of Thrones me, please. I have trust issues because of that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm cool with it. Michael Shannon,
Good actor.
he took a look back at Kangaroo Jack and said, quote, "It's fun, a good way to kill some time."
That's fair.
This is a show that Dylan and I plan on just binging all together because we have to do it for the brand. 2-part finale of The Bad Batch season 2 is now out on Disney Plus.
We do gotta do that.
We also got this is one of the things that is intriguing about Disney Plus. They started doing the stuff that you would see on traditional television with Dancing with the Stars, their past season where it would go live on Disney Plus. They are going to do a special for the very first interview since the snowplow accident with Jeremy Renner with Diane Sawyer, titled "A Story of Terror, Survival, and Triumph," on April 7th on Disney Plus.
I don't care.
I kind of care.
Fair,
But it's interesting. My aspect of the interesting part is that they're doing this on a streaming platform where this type of stuff traditionally this was 60 Minutes when we were growing up. This was that Sunday night, except on the West Coast, type of sit down interview that would happen after the 4:30 block of NFL games. Now they're pushing it to Disney Plus, and you start seeing these on streaming platforms. It's kind of interesting.
That's a good point, but yeah, interesting, I guess.
Ben Affleck confirms that Gal Gadot returns as Wonder Woman in The Flash. Quote, "I get saved by Wonder Woman. She saves me with the lasso of truth. And so what happens is that Batman divulges some of his real feelings about his life and his work."
Cool.
I
Sure.
truly, these DC films that are coming out, I truly do not care about them whatsoever.
The only reason I even care about The Flash is because Michael Keaton, but that's it.
I do not care because it's they're not going to mean anything moving forward.
I mean,
Hard resetting, essentially.
The Flash is the only one that kind of means anything. But, yeah.
This is interesting because it's going to not exactly a streaming platform, but My Adventures with Superman is moving to Adult Swim and will release this year.
Should we talk about the Apple TV news?
Sure.
And how we officially have a date for Martin Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon, which will appear in theaters and on Apple TV. It will debut at the Cannes Film Festival. It'll be in a limited release starting on October 8th and a nationwide release on October 8th and a nationwide release on October 20th. And then it'll be on Apple TV and stuff, and that's the film that stars. It's based on a best-selling novel, and it's, I believe, a nonfiction novel, and it stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Jesse Plemons, what's his name?
Jesse Plemons, one lucky guy in that.
Robert De Niro, and everyone's favorite now Oscar winner, Brendan Fraser.
That's true.
I liked Brendan Fraser before it was cool. This news came in earlier. I sent it in the group chat, and then Christian absolutely whack-a-moled me. But we're getting more casting confirmations for some Marvel projects, and this one has me excited. Demetrius Gross has been cast as the Grim Reaper in the Disney Plus Wonder Man series. Let's
Alongside
fucking ride,
Yaya.
everybody. Let's ride.
Him and Yaya, baby.
I'm so excited for that. That show is going to be awesome.
Guys, I found bacon.
Bacon good.
Look, I got bacon.
Karan Sony and Leslie Uggams will return in Deadpool 3. Let's go. Ike
Clayface?
Perlmutter, he gone. He's been laid off at Disney.
Bye.
Bye,
He
Felicia.
gone. A Spider-Verse animated short film, The Spider Within, will premiere in June at the... I don't want to mispronounce it, Christian.
Can?
No. It starts with an A. Annecy Film Festival. Annecy.
I don't know.
Anakin?
Anakin.
I've never heard of it. I've never heard of
Arachnid.
it.
The short film follows Miles as he struggles to balance his responsibilities between being a teenager and being Spider-Man. You know what I say to you, Miles? Grow up. Get a grip.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
I'd love to be Spooderman.
Dune 2 will not premiere at the Venice Film Festival in September.
No!
We riot.
No!
Thomas Hayden Church says that there have been conversations about him returning as Sandman. Quote, we had a whole story involving his daughter for No Way Home, and it just ended up being cut.
That's ridiculous. No, I mean, that's kind of cool. It's always interesting to explore the villains that aren't really villains, like the Sandmans or the Mr. Freezes, like their ulterior motives.
Dr. Freeze?
Yeah.
I agree. I like the following along with the villain to make you root for them, and then you realize that they're villains and you absolutely hate them.
I mean, I'll be honest. I root for Mr. Freeze. He's just trying to cure his wife, bro.
Dylan likes it cold.
Respect.
Christian sent this to absolutely whack-a-mole me in the group chat. Mike Flanagan has pitched a Clayface film to DC, according to Deadline, which was then followed up by Deadline that Clayface will be in the Batman Part 2 with Bob Pattinson.
Clayface, baby! And Mike Flanagan, for those who don't know, had a big stint on, was involved in a lot of Netflix stuff not that long ago, including the it's The Haunting of Hill House and The Haunting of Bly Manor and Midnight Mass. And if I remember correctly, is he doing a Dark Tower thing? Mike Flanagan, because I thought I heard something about him doing a Dark Tower thing. No, he's not doing a Dark Tower thing at the moment. Dylan? He's
What?
dead! Dylan's
What?
dead!
Oh,
No,
he's
no,
back.
He's back.
He's alive!
I was
Ah!
that text. I was just checking real quick.
That's all I have on the docket. Christian, is there anything I've missed in the Streaming Platform Multiverse news and
Oops,
notes?
excuse me. Jesus.
Big burp
Sake, Dylan.
coming to a streaming platform near you this summer.
Yes, of course. Nope, I can't really think of anything.
So that's all we got for you guys this episode. Make sure you're following us on the socials at StreamerSZN on Twitter, Instagram. Subscribe to the podcast feed, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Dylan, say the line before I drop all of our Twitter handles for the people.
Let us know what you want us to watch next, whether it's a show or a movie across the streaming services. We have all of them besides me. I don't got Peacock, but they got Peacock. So between all three of us, we can combine our power and morph together and create something magical. Or not magical, who knows? But you have to let us know, or else we'll never know.
Follow us on Twitter. By us, I mean the three of us, at Dylan Mazzola, at thewiz_PHI, and at KBIZZL311. And subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. It's where you get full video episodes of Streamer Season and every podcast on our network. Subscribe, smash that like button, click the bell icon. We have 6 podcasts that go out on this network every single week. Click that bell, you start watching our stuff, and then you'll realize you're getting good content every single day of the week by subscribing to our YouTube channel. We're currently at 422 subscribers on the YouTubes. We're on that road to 500. On that road to 1,000, and you know what happens at 1,000? Dylan's cosplaying at Comic-Con. I'm watching Season 1 of Game of Thrones. It's a big, bad party. So go subscribe, youtube.com/@undergroundsportsphiladelphia, and get your merch, phiapparel.co. Use code UNDERGROUND for 10% off any and all orders. This has been another episode of Streamer Season, the exclusive streaming platform TV and movie podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. For Dylan, for Christian, I'm KB. We're getting the heck up out of here. Peace.
Peace.